Welcome back to Movie Recapped. Today I will show you an action, comedy, drama movie from 2014, titled Vampire Academy. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A car can be seen driving on a road. The family in the car are the Dragomirs. Suddenly, another car rams into them. Rose wakes up from the nightmare. She goes to check on Lisa, whose nightmare she had seen through their telepathic bond. The nightmare was a memory of the accident that killed her family. Jokingly, Rose asks her why can't she have normal teenage dreams about hot guys on unicorns or whatever. Both of them are still adjusting to life in the normal world, since they escaped the academy a year ago. Lisa gets lightheaded and Rose reminds her that she has to eat. They go into the kitchen and Lisa bites into her, feeding on her blood. Later, Rose looks outside of the window and sees someone watching them. They escape through the back of the building and see the men that are after them. Rose sets up a distraction and sends it their way, then beats them up. Before they can escape, another man approaches them and introduces himself as Dimitri, saying that they have to go back to the academy. Rose rushes him, but he takes her down in an instant. They take the two of them and drive them back to the academy where creatures like Lisa, the Moroi, study. They are mortal vampires. Rose wakes up in the car, realizing she's cuffed to the door. She's a Dhampir, a half Moroi. Her kind are guardians to the Moroi. Rose tries to talk to Dimitri, but since his answers are brief and to the point, she and Lisa make fun of him through their bond. They arrive at the academy. No one is there to let them inside the gates and they sense something is wrong. One of the guards is dropped on their car and all heck breaks loose. Dimitri tells them to stay in the car while he and the rest of the guardians fight of the threat. Rose manages to open her cuffs and leaves the car. As soon as she steps outside, a Strogoi appears, making his way to her and fighting off the rest of the guardians like it's nothing. More guardians come out and manage to put the creature down. The Strogoi are the bad vampires that are more similar to the traditional idea of vampires. They finally enter the academy, where Moroi and their secret society has their own government that alternates leaders from 12 royal families. Lisa is from one of those families, with the possibility to become a leader one day. They walk inside the school and see the students roam in the yard. The girls see Lisa's ex, Aaron, with his new girlfriend Mia. Dimitri calls them in to talk to the headmistress. Kirova is scolding them over the fact that they escaped, when Prince Dashkov walks in and begs the headmistress not to give them a harsh punishment. She asks them why they fled the safety of the school and Rose tells her that Lisa felt safer on the outside. Rose then asks about Karp, which makes Kirova angry and she changes the subject. Lisa is the last of her line and she is a possible successor to the throne. The headmistress threatens to expel Rose for helping the potential successor flee, when Dimitri steps in and tells her that they have the bond. Dashkov comments that it's a rare gift. Both of them try to convince Kirova to let Rose stay, but it is Lisa, using her special compulsion ability, that changes Kirova's mind at the end. Before she sends them away, she gives Rose a letter from her mom. Later, Rose has a flashback of her helping Lisa find her magical calling. She shows both fire and water abilities, making Rose happy. Suddenly, Karp shows up. She expresses her condolences to Lisa and tells her not to worry because she also never declared her own magic either. A crow flies into a statue and it's at the verge of expiring, when Lisa brings it back to life. The next night, Mia makes fun of Lisa and Aaron goes to talk to her. Mia joins them and makes fun of her more. Meanwhile, the Dhampirs have gym class, when Rose joins Mason and the others. Later, Mason knocks her out in faux combat. All of a sudden, Rose's bond with Lisa is activated. She sees her going to the school church. Christian shows up there and they argue a little bit. He tells her about his parents who turned themselves into Strogoi. Unlike her parents who everyone mourned when they died, when his parents were hunted down everyone cheered. She asks him if he goes to the church to prove that he hasn't turned as well. Christian asks her what it was like on the outside and how she got blood. His theory is that she fed on Rose. Suddenly, Rose gets hit by a ball in the head. She has gym class with Dimitri. Later, Lisa and Rose meet up and she tells her that she saw her and Christian. The two of them walk into the school cafeteria, that has a human feeder program. Lisa recognizes her feeder and immediately sits down to feed. Rose meets Dashkov in the waiting room. He's curious if Lisa has declared a magic yet, but Rose asks him about Karp. He doesn't really answer. His daughter Natalie shows up and he asks Rose to protect her too if she can. Later, the girls walk over to church. Lisa asks Natalie about Mia. She tells her that she became a part of the popular group of kids recently. Inside, they see Jesse, who Rose has a crush on, while Natalie has a crush on Ray. During the mass, the priest talks about Saint Vladimir and his loving guardian Sheva sends everyone to the confines of their rooms. Rosa sets up a date with Jesse for the next day. They meet and immediately begin making out. He wants to feed on her, but she doesn't allow him to. Jesse doesn't want to let it go, when Dimitri walks into the room at the right time to get him off of her. Suddenly, Rose has another vision and sees Lisa walking outside her room, where a dead fox has been strung up. She and Dimitri run to her. She tells Rose that she tried to bring it back, but it was too late. When Rose leaves, she sees Kirova entering Lissa's room with a sedative. Dmitri doesn't allow her to stop Kirova and informs her that they will increase her guardian security. Rose asks him to actually teach her to fight the next time they meet for class. The next night, Mia finds a way to make fun of Lissa via their teacher. He catches her note and reads it out loud. It says that while on the outside Lissa had fed on Rose. The teacher says that he'll pretend he didn't read that, when Jesse and Ray continue to talk about Rose. Suddenly, Ray catches on fire. The teacher knows it's Christian doing it and he sends him to the headmistress. After class, Lissa asks her how they could find out and Rose tells her that Jesse merely suspected, prompting the princess to run away. Before she can go after her, Mason confronts her too about making out with Jesse, but she tells him that she can't deal with his feelings. She walks out and tries to get a vision about Lissa. She sees her arguing, or rather flirting, with Christian. Suddenly, there's music informing of the arrival of the Queen Tatiana. All of the students meet in the main hall, where she greets them warmly and instantly asks for Princess Lissa. The Queen calls her bloodline the finest of the Moroi, but tells Lissa that she's not impressed with her behavior. However, she has confidence that she will do better. Later, Rose and Natalie search for Lissa in her room, only find an inscription in blood on her wall. Rose tells the girl to lick the blood and tell her whose blood it is. She tells her that it's Moroi blood. Lisa decides not to escape the school again and thinks that they should look into Mia. Rose, however, thinks they should focus on Carp. Lissa says that she will use her special power of compulsion on everyone except Mia to get her way. Rose can hear the influence that Christian has had on her and confronts her about it, but Lissa thinks that it's time for her to step up and for Rose to rest. When Dompier leaves, she runs into Christian, who's concerned about Lissa. Rose tells him that Lissa doesn't like him. The following day, Rose and Dmitri meet in the woods to practice. He tells her that sunlight and silver are her only weapons against the Strogoi. They practice fight and he asks her if she could kill someone she knew that was turned into a Strogoi. She hesitates, but he tells her that is the last thing she should do. They walk back to the school and he asks her what her mother's letter said, considering she is one of the most feared Dompiers in the world. The letter said simply that she is glad for Rose to be alive and that her behavior was inexcusable. Dmitri asks her what she knows about her Moroi father, but she really doesn't know anything. Later, Rose gets another vision. Lissa is talking to one of Mia's friends and uses compulsion on her to convince her that the rumors aren't true. Then she makes her invite her over to study with her and her friend. She uses the same power on another of Mia's friends to find out secrets about her. Lissa walks up to Rose and she tells her that using her gift has a cost for both of them. Then Christian confronts Lissa about the things that Rose had told him she feels about him. Later, Natalie and Rose are looking through Mia's computer and Lissa is getting ready for her study group. Suddenly, they find photos of Mia and Lissa's brother. They were dating and the girls suspect that he hurt her, which made her despise the entire Dragomir bloodline. As time goes by, Lissa continues with her compulsion routine on everyone in the school and Rose thinks that it's turning her into something she's not. During gym class she talks to Mason, who tells her that he saw Jesse and Ray with bandages on their wrists. After class they follow Mia, who's also covering her wrists, and see her meeting with Kirova. Rose thinks that she needs to break into Kirova's office to see her files, thinking that she will find all of the answers to her questions there. During her practice session with Dmitri, she asks him about Carp. He says that he didn't even know her, which makes Rose angry because she thinks that everyone avoids talking about her. Dmitri ends the session and she tries to knock him out, but he pins her down. She flirts with him, but he doesn't respond. The next day, Rose breaks into Kirova's office and finds a CD. She discovers that it's a compilation of videos with Carp. In one of them she says that the ones like her that never declare a magic are always beckoned by darkness. Suddenly, Rose has a vision of Lissa's nightmare. In it, she is approached by Aaron asking her to come back to him, when Christian shows up, turned into a Strogoi. More Strogoi appear and everyone fights them in the schoolyard. When everyone else is taken down or killed, Christian turns Lissa into a Strogoi and she goes after Rose. When the nightmare is over, Lissa asks Rose if she could feel that one. They both agree that it felt strange. The next day in church, Lissa is with Aaron and Rose is left by herself. She sees Mia crying and Christian longingly looking at Lissa. Eventually, she goes over to him and tells him the truth. She tells him that Lissa has feelings for him, but he thinks it's too late. Rose asks Christian to help her find some books that can help Lissa, but he refuses. Natalie tells her about a party for Lissa. Rose appears and everyone greets her warmly because of Lissa's influence. She sits next to Natalie and they watch Lissa show off all of her abilities. Rose leaves and Lissa follows her out. She tells the vampire that she's burning them both with her magic. But Lissa is happy that she neutralized Mia. They argue about Christian, but Rose tells her that what is happening there is about more than just high school. Suddenly, they hear a noise and Natalie shows up, telling them that something followed her. They hear a howl and Rose says that she was probably being followed by a Psyhound. The girls run, but the creature follows them. Lissa sees her backpack in the middle of the schoolyard and finds her cat inside, dead. Karp tells her that Lissa's life is in danger and that she shouldn't fear the Strogoi, but the vampires inside the school. She hides the memory from her until she needs it. Later, Rose shares her memory with the school faculty, explaining that the suppressed memory was the reason why she needed to get Lissa out of the school. Dashkov says that it was brave of her to share that with them. One of the teachers asks if she can bring the dead back to life, but Rose says that she can only bring people from the brink of death. Only Saint Vladimir could do that, and he also didn't declare a magic. Kirova doesn't believe Lissa has the power of compulsion either, but Rose tells her that she's done it to her. She begs to see the rest of the Karp footage and Kirova agrees. Dmitri takes her downstairs and shows it to her. He tells her that Karp had a breakdown when they left and turned herself into a Strogoi. She did it because she wanted the pain to go away. The Strogoi have no feelings, no worries, no weakness. Rose has a vision of Lissa talking to the faculty and using compulsion to convince them that everything Rose had told them was a lie. Dmitri tells her that she should read more about Saint Vladimir. Rose finds Christian in the library and asks him for the books. He agrees to help her this time. They discover that Lissa's power is a magic called spirit. The two of them brainstorm who might want to get rid of her. Christian suspects that it's the headmistress, the queen, and Mia working together to drive her mad. They leave the library and hug. Lissa sees them and thinks they're together, but he tells her that they were trying to help her and then he kisses her. She pushes him away and says that she hates him. Rose has a vision of it and knows that she's lying. She follows her and they argue. Rose tells her about Karp and makes her angry. As she follows Lissa, Rose steps into a hole and breaks her leg. She wakes up in the hospital and Dmitri walks in, telling her that the princess has been going through feeders all morning and that she's not injured. When she sees that he's telling the truth, she rushes over to Lissa to thank her. They reconcile. Kirova joins them to tell them that they will be sequestered, but Dashkov and Natalie appear and ask her to let them stay for the equinox dance. She agrees and he organizes a shopping day for them. Later, they're seen entering a mall from the back. Dmitri and another guardian tell her what to do if a Strogoi shows up and give her a UV flashlight. The girls shop and Rose tells her that they have one night to find out what is going on, before they get sequestered. Rose sees a necklace that she likes, but doesn't buy it because it's expensive. When they get back in the school, Natalie gives her the necklace telling her that her father bought it for her. The three of them walk into the party and everyone is looking at them. Lissa dances with Christian. Mason finds Rose and makes Jesse and Ray tell her the truth about Mia. They say that they were the ones that wrote the bloody inscription on the wall in Lissa's room, but tell her that they didn't kill her cat. Rose makes Ray dance with Natalie and gives Mason a thank you kiss on the cheek. While Christian and Lissa dance, Mia interrupts them and begins lashing out. Rose comes over and confronts her with the truth. Mia says that she didn't hurt the cat, but Rose doesn't believe her and belittles her in front of everyone, then knocks her out. Before she gets dragged away from the dance floor, Christian tells her that they still need to worry about a bigger threat if Mia didn't kill Lissa's cat. Rose is locked in a room, when she gets a vision of Lissa being kidnapped. Kirova walks inside and gets ready to sedate her, but Rose overpowers her and gives her the sedative instead. She goes to Dmitri's room to tell him about Lissa, but gets super distracted. They begin to make love, when Dmitri realizes that the necklace is a love charm and breaks it away from her neck. Rose gets refocused and tells him about Lissa. They get to a car and drive around the academy grounds to find Lissa. Rose tries to get another vision and sees Christian hiding in the backseat. She gets the vision and sees that Dashkov has taken her. He tells Lissa that he needs her to heal him and that he was the one testing her with the animals. He got his ultimate proof when she healed Rose. Dashkov explains that his chronic disease would need constant healing, which would mean that she would be giving up her life for his. He says that he is much more important than her and that he should take his rightful place as leader of the Moroi. A blind vampire on whom she can't use her powers is brought in to torture her, and when she refuses to heal him, even Rose can feel the pain. He continues with the torture until she can't take it anymore and heals him. Simultaneously, Rose and the others arrive at the house. Dmitri tells Rose to stay in the car, but she and Christian still go in. While he fights Dashkov's men downstairs, Rose and Christian go to find Lissa. She makes her guard jump out of a window and escapes from the room. Rose sees her every move. Lissa is faced with Psyhounds and Dashkov sees it on his security cameras, telling his guardian that they will attack only on his command. She runs, but Dashkov's helicopter descends in front of her. Meanwhile, Dmitri storms Dashkov's office after he has fled, and fights his guardian. Naturally, after a grueling fight, Dmitri wins. Rose and Christian incapacitate the pilot of the helicopter. Suddenly, Dashkov shoots Christian. The girls fight over who will protect whom, but before he can shoot any of them, Dmitri incapacitates him. Unfortunately, he gives the Psyhounds the command to attack. They go after Lissa, but Christian burns them with his magic before they get to her. Lissa wants to save him, but she needs to power up on blood and Rose offers herself. She feeds on her then heals Christine. Back at the academy, Kirova informs Rose and Dmitri that Dashkov will be sent to prison and Natalie will be removed from the school. She gives Rose a letter from her mom, that just says proud. When the two of them leave her office, Dmitri tells her that he's not interested in her in a romantic way. Kirova interrupts them and tells Rose that Dashkov wants to talk to her about being shadow-kissed. She gets to the downstairs facility. He tells her that Lissa's magic was awakened in the accident and that the first time she used it was to save her. To be kissed by shadows means that she had crossed over to the other side and returned. In the background, the guards can be seen getting taken down, while Dashkov keeps distracting her. Suddenly, she turns around and sees that Natalie has turned into a Strogoi to help her father. The girl knocks her over and tells her that she helped her father all along. She gets her father out of the cell and continues to fight with Rose. As she closes in on her, Rose blinds her with her flashlight and wants to kill her, but loses her chance. Simultaneously, Dmitri arrives and catches Dashkov trying to escape. He knocks him over and jumps down to save Rose. Him and Natalie fight, then Rose grabs her and he stakes her. Sometime later, Lissa learns more about her power and tells Rose that she will never consider turning into a Strogoi because she has her. The queen arrives at the academy and Lissa confronts her. She tells everyone about her declared magic and makes a speech to bring all the students together. Later, Rose and Dmitri talk about their feelings of each other again. They acknowledge that they care for each other, but remain friends. At the very end, Karp is revealed preparing to attack the school with an army of Strogoi. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.